morning to all traders and welcome to this week's first Market Insights video provided to you by Orbex. Today we're going to talk about the US indices. I will talk about the S&P 500 particularly and also the US index. US yields continue falling to an all-time low for the 30-year yields, by the way, as investors seem to be switching now from equities to US bonds as well as gold, to the safe havens, let's just say more clearly, as concerns mount over the coronavirus cases spreading outside of China now, with new countries also added on the endless list. When adding to that, on Friday's US very disappointing services PMI, that's fallen in contraction after 3.5 years nearly. I think it was March 2016 last time it was in contraction. This now has caused a big shift in sentiment, and we've seen last week actually the S&P, also all the US indexes, right, as well as the dollar falling sharply. Now I want to go ahead and start with the S&P 500 this time, okay? We've talked about the particular scenario over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, okay, which means we're going to see higher highs. This is still the case. However, the current pattern that I'm seeing suggests that we're moving into a flat correction for wave 4 right now, right? So we've had waves A done. Wave B, this is actually a triangle, okay? This is the A, this is the B, and we're waiting for a C impulsive move to the downside. Now, we ended just above 138.2 Fibonacci extension, expected in flat patterns. Now, what we want to see really is whether prices are going to continue lower and break below the previous low, okay, over here. That would make this, of course, an expanded flat. Or if we stop around this area and then we start to move higher, that would indicate that this is a running flat. Now, I am leaning towards the first scenario, an expanded flat, because I still think the risks of the coronavirus have not yet been priced in fully, and there is still more to be seen. So with that being said, and keeping in mind that we are expecting prices to go down to the 161.8 extension of waves of this wave pretty much, right? This is the 3140. So if we consider the last swing high, right, and all the way down there, this is some 260 points, right? So given the first wave, and assuming that the last wave is going to be the same as the first wave over here, we can assume that wave 3 is going to go down to the 3190, which is the 300 Fibonacci extension, or actually the 3200s will make a very good psychological support for a bounce, right? So we could see prices going down impulsively, have a bounce over here with a bit of a more, maybe a triangle, maybe a flat or something, some sideways market over here for wave 4, because wave 2 is quite sharp, and then we're going to see probably wave 5 taking the ascending trend line of this multi-year channel, or multi-month maybe, if you may. And once we get there to around 3130 or so, to 3100, let's just say, it's just a bit above the 3000 psychological support, we could start seeing prices moving up for the last move to the upside before we start seeing the massive decline. Now I want to go quickly on the US index as well. US index, the pattern that we talked about last week actually came into play. We've talked about this becoming a flat. We've had the first wave done. The second wave looks that is done. Okay, and now we're expecting prices to move down in an impulsive move to take out wave C. Now, here, there is two different things we need to look at. Number one, we don't know whether this is going to be a running flat or an expanded flat, right? So we cannot potentially say now we're going to see the wave C ending around this level or crossing below that level. Now, what I want to do is draw a Fibonacci over here, right? And see where that takes us. Now, the upside we said potentially is done, but there is still room to the upside, okay? And I wouldn't be surprised if we see this being 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to around 101. This would still respect the guidelines for a flat pattern. We could see prices moving a little bit lower, and once we get this wave 4, then move up for wave 5 to take out the 101. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. And then move lower for either a running flat around that level or an expanded flat that is going to break below wave A. And the other scenario, of course, as we talked about before, is that wave C is down over here and wave B, of course. Then we're looking to move down impulsively, either for a flat again or for expanded flat around 94.30